Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Akbar. In this video, I will give an explanation about the research about this research. The topic of students is anxiety in learning English. This research has been researched by Anggiana Mustachin and will be presented by me, Genta Akbar. So let's we begin the presentation. Before we talk further about the anxiety in learning English, we have to know, I will explain about this introduction, literature review, research methodology, finding and discussion, conclusion and suggestion. Let's start with introduction. First, background of study. Emotions are important in the classroom since it has impact on learning. They influence learners' ability to process information to accurately understand what they encounter. Brown states that emotions affect learning in the most fundamental way because they are the foundation of the learning strategies and techniques. In other words, emotional state can encourage and discourage learning. For example, students learn and perform more successfully when they feel secure and happy and excited about the subject matter. Emotion have the potential to energize students thinking and also have the potential to interfere with the learning. Negative emotions such as anger, anxiety, and sadness have the potential to distract students' learning efforts. Unfortunately, in this case of foreign language learning, student emotions tend to be more discouraging rather than encouraging. One of the emotional states that makes such process becomes difficult is anxiety. Emotional states such as anxiety can distract students in the language learning process. Feeling of tension, worry, and nervous will impede students' ability to perform successfully in foreign language classroom. According to Oxford, most language research show a negative relationship between anxiety and performance. Anxiety harms student performance by way of worry, self-doubt, and reducing participation. In addition, according to Crescent, they believe that anxiety can raise the affective filter and form a mental block that prevents a comprehensible input from being used for language acquisition. And anxious students will have difficulties in following lessons. They may learn less and also may not be able to demonstrate what they have learned. Even worse, they may experience more failure, which in turn escalate their anxiety. And then the scope of the study. The study focused on the cause of students' anxiety in learning English as prescribed by students at 8th grade of some junior high school in Southern Ground. And then the research question based on the background above, the writers formulates a research question as follows. What factor do students believe to contribute to their anxiety in learning English? And then the objective of the study to figure out what factors are more probable to cause anxiety as specified by the students at 8th grade of some junior high school in Southern Europe. And the significance of study, the result of the study is intended to broaden the perspective of the writer in particular and the reader in general. And then we will move to literature. Anxiety. The nature of anxiety is one of the most well-documented psychological phenomena. In general, anxiety appears from human body as a response to a particular situation. Commonly, anxiety can be identified as feeling of being threatened, apprehension, tension, and worry. There are several definitions of anxiety which are found by the writer. According to Carlson and Buckus, anxiety is a sense of comprehension and or a doom that is accompanied by certain psychological reactions, such as accelerated heart rate, sweaty palms, and tightness in the stomach. Furthermore, anxiety rises a response to a particular situation. Passer and Smith define anxiety as a state of tension and apprehension as a natural response to perceived threat. It means that people are natural feels anxious when they are threatened, while according to or more anxiety is a feeling of uneasiness and apprehension concerning a situation with an uncertain outcome. Although anxiety and fear sound similar, both are actually different. Hagen and Whiteburn describe the difference between fear and anxiety. Fear is natural alarm response to a dangerous situation, while anxiety is more future-oriented, a feeling of apprehension and uneasiness about the possibility of something terrible might happen. And then type of anxiety. Several kinds of anxiety have been described. Two of the most well-known is state anxiety and threat anxiety. Anxiety that arises when confronted with specific situation is called state anxiety. Most people experience state anxiety, which also known as a normal anxiety. However, in certain cases, anxiety comes more intense and lasted for long. So, so this kind of anxiety is called threat anxiety. So threat anxiety is anxiety that comes more intense and lasted for long. And then we will move to the anxiety and English language learning. Foreign language anxiety, there is a certain term for anxiety that linked to language performance. The term language anxiety and foreign language anxiety are commonly used interchangeably. Foreign language anxiety is a specific anxiety which is related to language learning and use. According to Brown, foreign language anxiety is a feeling of intimidation and over the prospect of learning a foreign language. In addition, according to Gardner and McLaren, as cited in Oxford, it is a fear or apprehension occurring when a learner is expected to perform in target language. Furthermore, Howitz and Co. propose conceptual foundation of foreign language anxiety based on them. Foreign language anxiety appears in the form of anxiety such as communication, apprehension, test anxiety, and fear of negative evaluation. Communication apprehension is a type of signs characterized by fear of anxiety about communication with people. Uh, Since performance evaluation is frequent in most foreign language classes, text anxiety is also closely related to a discussion of foreign language anxiety. Based on Sarason as cited in Oxford, text anxiety is the tendency to become more alarmed about the consequence of performance on the test or other evaluation. Another anxiety related to foreign language learning is fear of negative evaluation. And then we will move to impact of foreign language anxiety. Basically, uneasiness feelings such as anxiety will disturb students in no doubt. It will absolutely affect students' learning effort and performance. Anxious students will think less clearly and probably make more mistakes. Moreover, to perform a task that they have to work harder because anxiety makes them worry and disturb their learning process. Anxiety has long recognized by educators as a potential problem in foreign language classroom. Anxious students will have difficulty in their language learning since anxiety affects cognition process. According to Umrod, anxiety can interfere with several aspects of cognition in learning process. Anxious students may be disturbed in paying attention to what needs to be learned. processing information effectively, retrieving information, and demonstrating skill that they have previously been learned. In other words, foreign language anxiety belongs to debilitating anxiety because it can hinder language learning. And then we will move to possible factors contributing to foreign language anxiety. Anxiety can rise from various sources. It sometimes comes from classroom activities and methods which relate to teachers' instruction and tasks. For example, speaking activities, it appears frequently as one of the anxiety-provoking factors. Uh, they also note that being called on response orally can produce anxiety. Speaking activities are prone to anxiety in speaking students are trying to communicate in their limited capabilities. They also fear of being negatively evaluated by the teachers and peers, which exposes in the quenches. Moreover, in some cases, students often laugh at their peers who make mistakes. It absolutely makes students fear of making mistakes. They fear of making fool of themselves in public, so they prefer to be quiet rather than speak to practice their English. In addition, inappropriate ways to teaching can also contribute to student anxiety. For example, speaking too much fast according to word and inability to understand what is being said in the classroom often lead to communication apprehension. Here is the illustration of possible factors contributing to anxiety adapted from Horwitz, Ward, and Price. And then we will move to the previous research on foreign language anxiety. Many people have investigated the issue of foreign language anxiety from different perspectives. Ward, in his investigation to cause of language learning anxiety, found that speaking activities, inability to comprehend negative classroom experience, fear of negative evolution, native speaker methodology, pedagogical practice, and the teachers themselves as the main causes of learning anxiety. Chan and Wu conducted a student foreign language anxiety of EFL elementary school students in Taipei by the way of the questionnaire interviews, classroom observation, and document collection. They found five sources of language anxiety. They were low proficiency, fear of negative evaluation, competition of games, and says personality and pressure from students themselves and their parents. Marwan investigates Indonesian student foreign language anxiety. He tried to find out the type of anxiety experienced by foreign language learners and the strategies they use to cope with their anxiety. Factors like lack of confidence, lack of preparation, and fear of failing the class were the primary causes of their anxiety. In similar study, William examine anxiety in Japanese EFL classes in order to find out the type of situation that provoke the anxiety and the ability to cope with the anxiety. The finding indicates that anxiety was the most often associated with the output and processing stage of the learning process. Furthermore, they found the fear of receiving negative evaluation, speaking in front of class, and random selection procedures that teachers and used for calling the student were cited as a source of anxiety. And then we will move to research methodology. Research design. This study employed the qualitative research method with case study approach. Qualitative method was chosen because the study aims at providing an insight into the case of language anxiety in the 8th grade of SMPN 9 South Tangerang, specifically anxiety in learning English. And then the setting of study. The setting of study was SMPN 9 South Tangerang. It is a junior secondary school which located in Jalan Lontar, Manis Sarwa Permai Pamulang. There are 8 classes registered from grade 8 until 9. English is taught to compulsory subject. There are 2 meetings in a week with time allocation 80 minutes for each meeting. The study conducted at this school from April for 14 April to May 17. It consists of interviews and multiple classroom observation for around a month in class 8. And then data source and data collection technique. To obtain the data, the writer used 2 techniques of collection data. The first is interview and observation. Interview is a data collection technique by the way of interviewing selected individual as a respondent. Furthermore, it is a direct face-to-face attempt to obtain reliable and valid measure in the form of verbal response one or more respondents. Before conducting the interview, the writer observed in the class in order to find anxious student as the participant. The observation was followed using the sign of language anxiety by Oxford, as explained on the previous explain. And then the observation. Another data collection technique is observation. In this case, the observation conducted by observing student behavior during teaching and learning. The writer's role in the observation was non-participant. He observed all of the students, especially the 11 participants who had an interview with the writer before. In 2 weeks, 2 meetings were observed. Each observation lasted approximately 80 minutes, following the duration of a meeting. And then we will move to finding and discussion. Based on the result, the data we gathered to the structured interview with the participant who considered to be anxious in this classroom and observation. Based on the result of interview, that unclear explanation and speaking activities were the aspect of the behavior of the participant most about English class. They also spoke of their fear of making mistake and being ridiculed by peers. Further than when asked why feel so anxious, the participant respond that they feel anxious when do not understand what teacher said and did not prepare enough. And then the discussion. The findings suggest several factors that possibly contribute to the student anxiety in English class. It is also indicate that those factors were not only come from teacher but also from student. Based on the finding that factor contribute the anxiety could be classified could be from teachers and student. And then conclusion and suggestion. While other studies of foreign language anxiety focus on either both college or high school level, this present study focuses on junior secondary school level that show clear and convincing evidence of the cause of student anxiety in learning English. According to the student, there are various factors that may contribute to their anxiety. Speaking in front of class, being loud at the others, incomprehensible input, teacher students' beliefs, lack of preparation. And then about this suggestion, the teachers should be aware of foreign language anxiety. And then students should respect each other in order to create a friendly environment. And then further investigation is necessary to explore the students' anxiety in learning English. I think that's all from me. Thanks for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.